Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
I love the way both of our feet started tapping then.
Oh yeah, baby.
Just so musical. Guys,
well, it's not quite
hello.
Christmas.
Yes, it's not quite Christmas, depending on when you're listening to this. But this is probably the episode we're uploading closest to Christmas.
Yeah. 20th of December.
20th.
It should be coming out.
Yes. So 5 days.
Oh.
Ooh, simple maths.
5 days out. Guys, if you can't already tell, we're on our last legs.
Yes.
I am crawling to Christmas.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've got one more day at work tomorrow or today when you're listening to this. I'll be on my final day at work if you're listening to this on the 20th of December. And let me tell you, I am ready to say goodbye to work for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Wow, 2 weeks. That is lovely.
I'm very blessed in the sense that I do get to have some time off over Christmas. I know a lot of people are working.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you. The soldiers out there just powering through.
Yeah. Many people work.
Yeah, loads
over
of people.
Christmas.
But I don't, and I'm very glad about that.
Yeah.
And
a nice little stint. Although what I will say is over the years, I was saying this to Soph recently, sometimes I do feel like in my head, the way that kind of companies and work finish for Christmas makes it feel like we're finishing for a year, or like there's going to be
We are, aren't we?
a year of time off, like a long stint of time off.
I was like, we are finishing for the year.
But do you know what I mean? As in we're kind of like tying things up and locking things down as if like...
We're not all back in a week.
Yeah. And I get it because it's like the whole company off. But you know, when you're like in reality, most companies shut their offices for, you know, a week.
5 days?
Yeah.
Depends where you work, I guess.
Yeah. So
some not at all.
Sometimes I have been kind of deceived into thinking I'm about to have a few month holiday. But
I do think what's different about Christmas is one, it's probably one of the only times of year where if you are in a company that shuts over Christmas, like everyone is having time off at the same time. And two, I do feel like the slump and the rest and the just switched offness that personally I would go into over Christmas is quite deep.
Unmatched.
And it's, again, I know this isn't the case for everyone, but for me, it's like the 1st of January rolls round and I'm like reviving myself out of a food coma, out of watching 3 movies every day coma, out of waking up at 10 a.m. every day coma. And
it's also just quite wholesome how much as a nation we love Christmas, isn't it? For most people, the kind of way that, you know, we all just go in to some extent. So
Merry Christmas from
Merry
us.
Christmas
from Rach.
From the It's Not Just You podcast. Today, guys, we thought we would do a bit of a reflection.
We did.
This is going to be part of a 2-parter, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Part 1 of 2 parts.
Yep. And we thought, you know, because it's coming to the end of the year, it's always just quite fun to reflect on the year gone and also look forward to the year ahead. Last year we did an episode which we listened to a little bit of that earlier, reflecting on 2023. And it's just a nice time for us to chat, really, isn't it?
I love a good reminisce.
And we were saying with these particular questions that we're going to ask each other in this episode, guys, go and do this with your mates.
Yes.
We've tried to pick questions that are a bit more, like they are self-reflective, but they're also just like would generate a good discussion or a good chat with people. So if you're listening to this real time and you've still got a few days of the year left, why not have a little chin wag with your mates? Get reflective, get deep, get thankful about the year gone.
All of those things. Maybe even on New Year's Eve you could do it.
Yeah, that's wholesome.
Or like if you're going out for lunch with some friends.
Yeah.
I know I'm seeing my home friends over Christmas, so maybe I'll bring some of these questions into the conversation.
Or with your family.
Or with your fam.
Round the Christmas dinner table. Or with your dog.
With anyone, guys. You could do these questions with anyone.
Yeah.
And without further ado, the first
question.
Ado? That's how you say it.
Ado. Without further ado.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Jew.
I'm going to go.
Without further ado.
That's how you say it.
It's without further ado.
Right, I'm Googling now. Oh, yeah. Adieu.
Sorry, what? Adieu?
Gosh.
Without further ado.
Yeah,
Are
adieu
you
also
French?
comes from adieu. So I'm not wrong. We're both right.
No, but we're English, so we say adieu. Unless you are French in today's episode.
Yes, today we are going to be reflecting on...
Oh, gosh.
So it's
okay.
adieu. Without further ado.
Yeah.
To be fair. Sorry, guys.
Without further ado.
Hey, look, I've just learnt something at the ripe old age of 25 for the first time. I saw something similar to this where for this guy's whole life, he looked like he was in his 30s or 40s. He thought it was Tupperware, not Tupperware. And I was like, to be fair, that makes more sense.
I actually love things like that.
He was like, he had a podcast and he was like, bro, did you know it's Tupperware, not Tupperware? And the guy's just like, yeah.
Since when has it ever been Tupperware?
Anyway, without further ado.
If anyone else out there was saying adieu, there you go. Sorry, but that's so
Adieu.
funny.
I feel like the sound of music I sing.
I'm just
Adieu.
imagining you in like a big context game. So, without further ado, let's
Well, I'm
carry
glad
on.
I know now.
Okay.
Without further ado, pick 3 words to describe the past year.
Oh, that was what we were going to do at the start.
Yeah, well, it is the start.
I feel like we've launched in.
Okay, we'll skip past that then if you want.
No,
That was
okay,
what my
okay.
big
Yeah.
without further ado was building up
Oh,
to.
sorry. I thought we were in the episode now. Okay, well, yeah, we will do this just to kick off the reflection.
Yeah.
Okay, 3 words to describe this year.
My 3 words. Normal. Just feel like it's been a normal year and I just want to name that. Not every year is. Do you know what I mean? Normal. Second word, teaching. I feel like this year's taught me a lot of things.
Interesting.
Third, doesn't really fit into the grateful is the word I want to use.
Oh, that's nice.
As in, I feel like I've been filled with gratitude for different things
Yes.
in my life
Love
throughout
that.
this year. What are yours?
Mine would be growth. I have grown a lot this year. That's quite self-explanatory.
Rachel's now 6'5".
I'm a giant. Now I've learned a lot, which has definitely caused growth. New. There's been a lot of new things happening in my life this year. One example would be starting a new job. And
Brap, brap.
I would say something similar, like joy or gratitude, in terms of, yeah, I'm so grateful for everything I've been able to do and experience this year.
Love that.
So there are 3 words, guys.
Okay.
That's giving you a little flavour.
A flavour of what's to come. And now into the real questions.
The real juicy questions.
So, do you want to start, Rach?
No, do you want to start?
Okay. As in, you don't want to read out the question.
Oh, okay. Well, the first question is, what's one change you've made this year that has improved the quality of your life?
Okay. I know exactly what I'm saying for this one.
Go for it.
And it rolls on quite nicely from the gratitude theme. Because I do feel like this year I've really tried my best to just look at life through the lens of gratitude and being grateful. And not even because, oh my gosh, there's so many sick, amazing things happening in my life, but just the really simple things that I think you can so often take for granted, like, not to be proper cheesy, but like, I have a roof over my head. I have a nice bed to sleep in. I can wake up and I can go downstairs and there's food in the cupboard. Like, I just think once you start to channel and look at life through that lens, it's actually quite hard to feel kind of really down in the dumps about things, or like get really what am I trying to say? You know, sometimes where you can just be feeling a bit sorry for yourself and you can go into a bit of like, oh, woe is me. My life's awful because of this and this. And being honest, I think that's kind of how I started January, was with a bit of that lens on life of, oh, everything's awful, oh, nothing good is happening. And actually just, I think more throughout the start of the year, just really trying to actively like either write down or just as I'm walking, I think particularly in the morning, just like I said, those simple things. Oh, thank you for that. Oh, amazing. I have this. Isn't that amazing? And it doesn't need, like I said, doesn't need to be big things. But for me, that's actually really shifted my perspective on things, where I think sometimes you can think, do you know what? For me right now, living in England, in the life that I have, my life just isn't that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like not blowing things out of proportion.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just need a wider perspective, or like you say, shifting your perspective to look at things through a lens of gratitude just brings everything back into alignment of how it should be. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it doesn't need to be then this toxic positivity thing of pushing down all the stuff that you're actually feeling, and if you are upset or you are struggling, you're just ignoring it. It's not about that at all, but it's about not hyper fixating on those things. It's, you can still have joy and good things and be grateful for things whilst also finding life hard, going through struggles. It doesn't need to be one or the other.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
100%.
mean?
I love that. On a, I guess, a similar strain, kind of, my answer would be around expanding my perspective. So this could be quite niche to me, but I think could be applied to others as well. I would say for me this year, being abroad at different times or changing jobs or switching up a few kind of key elements of my life, I've gained a wider perspective on my life holistically and on the world holistically that I would say has really helped me in the best way. I think prior to this year, I don't think I'd kind of been in really similar routines each year, but I think for me I was just at that point of needing some change in a healthy way to kind of remind myself of like the size of the world, or the different cultures that you know exist in our world, or the different people, the different thought narratives, or all the different things going on beyond Birmingham and my city and my world. And I think expanding my kind of worldview and knowledge of those things has improved my quality of life, because like you're saying, I have a kind of perspective outside of myself and my troubles and the things I find hard. So yeah, I don't know if that could be kind of applied to others, but I think so.
Well, it's just your answer to the question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's
that's
my
okay.
answer, everyone.
We're just here to answer the questions, and then you can answer them yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. Said that in a weird way. Question number 2. What's your most memorable story / experience from the past year?
Oh my goodness.
I don't have one, and I'm worried I'm not going to be able to think of one.
But that's the thing. It's just memorable, isn't it? Like
I know,
something that's just stuck.
Can't think of anything.
With you.
You go, and then I will go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, the first thing that's come to mind, which I have absolutely no idea why it's come to mind, and also I feel like this is the kind of question that you'll go away and think of like 5 responses to and be like, okay, that was an interesting response. Was when I spent some time in India this year, and I got involved in a flash mob, a Greatest Showman flash mob, which, let me just say, I just never saw that coming for my 2024 personally. I was in the north of India and met this guy who was kind of a creative and a dancer and a performer, and he had this dream, this vision of putting on a flash mob to This Is Me. So myself and some Brazilian friends I was with at the time ended up training for numerous days in different areas of Manali in India to perform. And the weirdest thing about the whole experience was that we never performed, because we were actually leaving to go to a different part of India before the performance ended up happening.
Did you tell him that?
Yeah, well, the day that we were going to perform kept changing and shifting, and then it just eventually just didn't happen. But guys, when I say I cried with laughter, that definitely is a core memory now for me in my life of absolutely just dying with laughter, because it was one of those scenarios where you just couldn't really laugh because he and others were taking it super seriously. But I just found it hilarious that we were having to sing solos of This Is Me to each other, and yeah, it was a wild time.
And Rachel's actually going to do a live rendition of that right now on the podcast.
Thank you guys.
Okay, I tried.
Maybe in 2025.
The sharpest words want to cut me down.
Honestly, I know every lyric, every beat to that song now. Okay, what about you, Soph?
Okay, mine is going more down the route of iconic memory. And this was brought to mind yesterday when I was at my work Christmas party when we were going through our highlights of the year. So mine involves a trip to A&E and a young person who was under my responsibility and care for a week while we were...
Sorry, I was just going to say, for context, Soph's a community youth worker.
Yeah, I'm a community youth worker. So we'd taken 30 kids away with us on a camp in the summer. And one of the boys had decided to run into a barbed wire fence at 11 p.m. at night.
Classic.
What a great idea. And so actually another youth worker that we know found him in the kind of site first aid station, don't know what you call it, and rang us and was like, look, I found X, let's call him Ben, found Ben in the first aid, not looking great, got a big cut on his leg. So we head on down there, and you know, when you're just praying and just hoping, oh, you know, please just put a plaster on it and say that it's going to be fine. Start asking us, oh, do you know if he's had his tetanus jabs? And you're like, oh, let me just think. No, of course I don't know that. Why would I know that? Ringing his mum. Has Ben had his tetanus jab? Oh, I don't know. And they're like, well, you should probably go to A&E to get a tetanus jab because he did cut it on metal. Okay. At this point, it's midnight. And we've been at this camp for 4 days. I am already shattered. And I'm thinking, the night's just beginning and it's midnight. I should actually be asleep by now. But off me and my friend Jack go in his car to the local... Well, I think it was in Stoke or something. It was like half an hour drive away.
Oh, my days.
And it was just... You know those nights that just feel like a fever dream, where I think we left at 5 a.m. after literally getting a tetanus jab and a plaster. We're sat in this children's A&E room. And you know, when I'm like half asleep, half waking up, and it's just like different people in there. There's some little kid in the corner being sick or something. And you then get back, the sun's coming up, the birds are chirping, and you can see people walking on the campsite to go and have showers and stuff. And you're like, I've not even been in my bed, and I've still got a whole nother day of camping with these 30 kids to get through. So went back to bed at about 5 a.m. and woke up at about 11, and then we carried on. But it was just quite an iconic night.
I do remember you telling me that a couple of days after, and it was just hilarious.
Ben the young person was great entertainment.
Yeah.
So couldn't have picked a better a more worthy candidate to take with us.
To cut his leg.
Yeah. So yeah, that's quite random.
Yeah,
well, it was
I
quite
guess
iconic.
We've both
Sticks
gone
out in my brain
for two kind of fever dream moments there. So those are the moments we live for.
Yeah.
Here on the
you
It's
just
Not
think,
Just
what
You
is my life?
podcast.
What is my job? Why am I here? I don't get paid enough to do this.
That's brilliant. Okay, next question.
Yeah.
Going a little bit deeper.
Oh, okay.
What was your biggest struggle this year? And what did it teach you?
Oh my gosh.
I can start.
Yeah, you
like.
start.
Okay. For me, I think my biggest struggle was the change that happened for me this year. It was just quite a lot of constant change. I was kind of reflecting the other day on the fact that I was, throughout the 12 months of 2024, I was in one country for 3 months, one country for 2 months, another country for the rest of the months, started a new job for 2 months. I was in a long distance relationship for 9 months. I was here, there and everywhere, like in the UK. And as much as, you know, like I said at the start of the pod, that has been amazing for me and exactly what I needed, there is also difficulty that comes with change and adjusting and readjusting. And my time away, like I made some incredible friendships, so it's been really hard to leave those and to miss those people. It's been hard to readjust to coming home after being away. I think if anyone listening has been traveling or away, the readjustment back to life in your previous context is difficult. um Starting new things is daunting. So yeah, definitely the kind of constant change that has happened, which is so funny because I think sometimes you can be in a season of nothing changing and kind of want some change, and then you're in change and you want stability, and it's quite like interesting how as humans we often want what we're not currently in. So yeah, overall it was incredible, but it was difficult. And in terms of what it taught me, I'm gonna say a bit of a faith based response here, guys, because if you don't know, I believe in Jesus, and I would say that what the change taught me was that the only thing that is truly consistent in my life and the only person that really saw how all of those different seasons were for me and understood what I learned and understood the challenges of moving between different things. The only one who was there, you know, in the middle of the night when I was struggling, or in the mornings, or in the evenings, or in all the moments, was God. So I think it taught me about the faithfulness of God and gave me a new level of gratitude for knowing Jesus and walking with him. So yeah,
Love that.
that was me. What about you, Soph?
I think my biggest struggle this year would be quite neatly summed up into just the word disappointment. I think started off the year with like a big disappointment for myself. I mean, also this is one of the biggest struggles was, I'd say, around, like we spoke about in a few episodes ago, the change that was going on, and the change in our friendship, and like that has been particularly at the start of the year been a struggle. But I feel like I've already spoken about that, so I'm just going to park that one. But yeah, disappointment. And I think going through personal disappointment at the start of the year with things that I had kind of longed for that didn't happen, or didn't work out in the way that I had wanted them to. But then I think also just seeing close friends of mine going through disappointment and disappointing seasons of life where, again, they're longing for things, or to see a shift and a change in things in their life, and it's not happening, or disappointment because they thought this year was going to look one way and it looks the complete opposite. And I think just obviously you have your own personal stuff that you're going through, but when you're close friends with people, it's part of the deal, isn't it? That you take on the weight and you take on the you share in those emotions and those feelings. And so actually I think, and not in like a bad way of like I said, the weight, but it's not like, oh, I've been weighed down by everyone else's problems. I've not felt like that at all. But you just can't not, when you care about people, when you love people, and they're so close to you, you can't not share in their pain and their disappointment. And so I think just having that for myself and seeing other people go through that this year is just rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. It's like where you feel kind of helpless and not being able to, like when things are out of your control, isn't it?
Yeah. And then what's the second part? What's it taught me? I think what it's taught me is two things. One thing about time, and just genuinely, I know people say it as like kind of a cringe quote, like, oh, only time can heal and stuff like that. But I do think either it's that, like, sometimes you just have to wait and things will get better. And the thing that feels really disappointing right now, you'll look back, like me now in a year, and be like, that just doesn't feel like a massive thing in my life anymore. Or time in the sense of sometimes you just have to wait, and sometimes you just have to trust that actually what feels disappointing now when I, in the waiting and in the kind of time in between this thing that I want not happening, and then hopefully when it does happen, it's just what you're going to do in that waiting time. And again, how can you still find joy and be grateful for the good stuff in your life? So time, I think, is the word that sums that up.
That's beautiful. Love that. Okay, do you want to read the next one?
Yes. Let me just get it up.
I'm enjoying hearing our reflections.
Yeah, so am I. We've actually not spoken about this before we came onto this as well, so these are all fresh.
It's wholesome.
Okay, what's the bravest thing you did this year?
Do you want to start?
I don't have an answer right now.
Okay. You need some time to think. To be honest, whilst you've been talking, I've been trying to think of my answers to all of these questions. I think for me, it would be the initial decision to switch things up in my life. So to leave kind of what I knew and a job that I loved, community I loved for a short while, and go and do something completely different. I think when I reflect on that first initial decision and not knowing parts of what it would look like, but not the full picture, and knowing that it was likely to be quite challenging, took a lot of courage, actually. And even now, where I tell people kind of about my year, or specifically for context, I was kind of, spent a lot of time at the start of the year with a large group of Brazilians and just me. And that kind of cultural difference and language barrier and all those different things was really hard at times and quite isolating, but taught me a lot. But I was scared about that before and kind of had anticipated how it would be. But I think it's cool in a way of it was really hard, but like, would I on the other side of it now not do it because it was hard? Absolutely not. So I guess just that reminder that things can feel scary, but actually once you kind of step out and take that first step, they're not as bad always as you think they might be. So yeah, probably that. But obviously that's quite an extreme example. So maybe, yeah. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I think the bravest thing I did this year was go on my first solo holiday.
Yes.
Which I know for some people, I feel like there's a full spectrum of, there's some people who are like, I've literally travelled around the whole world on my own, like not a big deal. And there's some people who would just never dream of going on a holiday on their own. Yeah. And I actually never thought I guess I'd never really thought about it, but I think because I'm quite an extroverted person and I like being with people, going on holiday on my own just felt like, why would I ever do that? Why would I go somewhere really beautiful and not share that experience with someone else? And so I guess for me, it wasn't the bravery of like, I'm getting on a plane on my own, and it wasn't that. It was more just, how am I going to find it being on my own for 5 days? Are you about to cry?
No, I was thinking about something else. No, carry on.
Okay.
Just getting like emotional.
I was
like, are you welling up?
No, but I don't know.
Okay, sorry.
Anyways,
I think it's just quite an emotional podcast because it's quite reflective.
No, I feel emotional. I don't know why. Okay, so I'm talking about going to Greece on a holiday for 5 days. I feel.
Sorry, I think it's just like the emotions of like, I don't know. It's more just the reflection of the year.
Okay. But yeah, I think I was more in the camp of...
and then I got on a plane to Greece.
Oh, it was so hard.
No, I think it's cool though.
I think it was more, for me, it wasn't the travelling aspect and navigating and, am I going to be safe? It wasn't that. It was more the being on my own for 5 days.
No, I would feel like that.
And what am I going to do? How am I going to function? And what was really nice is that I made a friend while I was there, because I think if I was legit, I mean, I'm sure I would be fine, I wouldn't die, but like, it was nice to have, maybe a day on your own, but then you knew, I've met my new friend and we're going to go out for dinner.
And I would say that's 100% the case with most solo travellers. The point is you go and you meet people there.
Yeah.
Like in terms of, I do think most of the time when you do a solo trip, most people's aim would be, I'm going to get to know new people.
Yeah,
and,
unless it was like some sort of retreat where you
No,
purposefully don't want to interact with people. But I think also just gave me a bit of faith in humanity, where you go out and actually people just start talking to you,
yeah.
and people are friendly. And I don't know, especially I think where I was staying, it was mostly like British tourist people. It wasn't, like in the middle of nowhere. So it was mostly British people that you're interacting with.
Yes.
And, sometimes you can have all the stereotypes of British people are just a bit cold, or
Which is true.
yeah,
For
and
most
we can be sometimes. But I
For
think
most
it just gave me a bit of like, oh, actually,
No, 100%.
people are up for conversation. They're actually wanting to chat. There wasn't actually a day where I didn't talk to anyone at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the
Well
bravest
done,
thing I did this year.
Soph. I kind of want to do that at some point.
I would recommend. I don't know if I would do it like every year, like I need to do
No.
it, but I think it's a good thing to do.
Yeah. Okay. And to finish, again, this is a very wholesome, nice way to finish. Who poured into you this year that you want to thank?
Do you know whose yours is?
Yeah, can I say two? Like,
Yeah.
or is it just one? Okay, so I think firstly it would be my mum and dad. Because I think, yeah, like I was kind of saying earlier, in a year of change, where you know how your parents, like, no matter where you are or what you're doing, are your parents. I think it's that kind of similar essence of they've kind of been an anchor for me, like, throughout the whole year. No matter where I am, they're obviously going to be kind of as involved in my life as they are wherever I'm based. So I think they've just been a really great I don't feel like I'm gonna cry.
You can cry on the pod, that's all right.
Gosh, we've never cried on the pod. There's something in the air today. No, they've just been a really amazing source of courage and consistency, and I've really been able to like process a lot of things with them this year and vent at them, or just chat things through with them, or ask for their advice on things, or help me with different transitions. Did you hear that? The little wobble in my voice. So mum and dad, if you're listening to this, love you and thank you. And then the other person I'd love to shout out this year is a Brazilian friend called Isa, who poured, when we talk about pouring into, she poured a lot into me this year. We had many just incredible conversations. Obviously her family are included in this as well, Julio and Amelia, but particularly Isa is an incredible friend that I made this year, who I'm very grateful for. And so fun to have a friend from a completely different country and context, and grateful for that.
Love that.
Yeah, I love that.
Mine would be, again, I think I want to have 2.
Come on.
/3 as a cheat. First one would be Mel and Joel, my house parents.
Oh,
As in, I live.
Do they listen?
I don't think they do.
I feel like these people need to.
They probably aren't even going to hear this, but they're the family that I live with, and I live with them and their 3 children. But just like being swept up into their family has been so amazing, and just to see how they parent and how they.
Are you getting emotional? I can tell when you are.
Oh gosh. I just.
I knew the day would come where there were tears on the pod. Oh, there's full on tears. They're actually streaming.
I don't even feel like that emotional about this particular thing that I'm saying. I think that's why. I think I just feel an emotion. I'm probably just tired as well.
Guys, at the start of this episode where we said we were on the edge, we're really on the edge.
Oh, I'll keep it short and sweet. I feel like I'm doing like a wedding speech or something.
Can I just say, as just whilst you catch your breath, I just think I think probably behind this as well is just like even for us and our pod and our friendship, I feel like 2024 has just been a big year in terms of change. So I feel like some of what we're kind of, the emotion we're feeling is just like where it's been hard, where it's been good, like we've got through it and we're like grateful, you know?
I am just full on crying. My face is so wet. If you're listening on Spotify.
We can cut.
No, it's fine. I think it's a combination of tired and just like everything that you just said. And like I said, I don't feel particularly emotional about the thing I'm talking about right now. Just
You
feel
must show this to
overcome.
Mel and Joel.
I just feel overcome. So yeah, Mel and Joel. I just love being part of their family life, and you know, you just feel like you're kind of vicariously learning from people. Like it's not like, oh, they're sitting me down like, today we're going to teach you about this, but just being able to just share life with them and chat to them, and yeah, special.
That's beautiful. Shout out Mel and Joel.
And then my other one was going to actually be Emma, my line manager at work.
Oh gosh.
I'm not going to say much because I can just tell her myself. But she has just been really amazing and like really, you know, you just feel really seen and heard. And I think to feel that in work is not the case for everyone. And so, yeah, I just think she's an amazing line manager and boss, which just feels quite random to kind of like.
No, I think that's so beautiful.
But yeah.
I feel like my eyes are prickling again. So guys, we're gonna wrap this up. All in all, we are so grateful for so many things in this year, I think. And if you've listened to our previous podcast episodes about our friendship, you'll know that this has also been quite a big year for us. So we are super grateful. We're grateful for all of you guys listening to the podcast, for bearing with us in the ups and downs of uploading. 2025 is probably going to be a lot more consistent.
We hope, yes.
I wonder what 2025 holds. And that leads me nicely on to saying that our next podcast episode will be about 2025. So we're going to just talk about January vibes, talk about how that can be a bit of a struggle and some of our thoughts around 2025. So make sure you listen to that. But we love you.
Yes.
We hope you have an incredible Christmas.
And New Year.
And New Year, whatever you're doing. And
we'll see you in 2025.
Oh my goodness, we'll see you in 2025. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.